Hi guys, thank you for joining us. This is Dr. Choksi. My name is Achinth Choksi. I'm a family practice doctor and anti-aging doctor. I'm a yogi and I'm here at Ace Integrative Health in Mason, Ohio. This is where NPR started, if you guys all remember. But let's talk about what we're going to be doing. Let's talk about what I'm going to be doing. In today's podcast, I am going to go over what I am, how I am, why I am, and then what we're going to be doing in this podcast and what you're going to be listening to us and what you're going to be receiving. It's going to be a journey together, and it's going to be lots and lots and lots of fun as we discover ourselves and who we are inherently. So let's start somewhere. I will talk about myself a little bit, and then I'll tell you what we're doing and why we're doing it. And then what is it going to look like for you as you listen to this more and more. And if it's helpful, just call us, let us know, shoot a like on or subscribe, whatever that we do these days. There's too many things to count. Tweet us, share us, Instagram us, whatever. But our goal is to spread a knowledge, spread some type of understanding. And in the process, we want to guide you guys through a process of understanding who we are, guide you guys from one place A to another place B, where we are more healthy, more blissful, more content. And sometimes it's just as simple as somebody showing us how to do it. So before we get to how, we're going to talk about our why and where I came from. So I was born in India, raised in the United States. I was really young when I moved here, and then went through a lot of schooling and obviously became a doctor, was at the top of my class for pretty much all of those things, but ended up going into family medicine because I really wanted to have that connection to people and the journey. And the main reason why I became a doctor was to learn from the experiences of how other people go through their life. And in this process, I wanted to learn because I knew myself I was never going to go through all the experiences in life that somebody else goes through because I have only one perspective on me. And being a doctor would have been one of those professions where you stay out of the emotionality and being attached to our clients, our patients who we're working with. All of us are helping somebody or another, whether you're a janitor or whether you're a CEO, you're helping. But learning from an experience from somebody else without getting attached to it, I felt being a doctor would have given me the most amount of understanding. So it was really a selfish reason because I wanted to learn a lot. But in the process, I also wanted to help. And so I became a doctor, went to Wright State, and learned family practice, very traditional program as most of the residencies are. And we were trained to become a detective first. And we all wanted to solve a puzzle because there's something in our human body that is just marvelous, something that works, that, science is trying to explain. And we being on the front line, we get to hear how the bodies are changing. So I went into this thinking, okay, I'll detect, I'll diagnose, and I'll treat. But then once residency was done, started working in outpatient, really learned really fast that we were taught how to manage, not solve a puzzle. And there are a lot of puzzles that are not solved. And medicine has been great. Practice of medicine is great. The science behind it is great. It tries to solve many things. It has solved many things, but there's a lot of things that wasn't solved. And I wasn't okay with taking care of a diabetic for 30 years and not being able to tell them that, yes, there is a way out of this. So because I wanted to learn and really solve this entire puzzle, I started looking for answers somewhere, and somewhere other than this conventional practice of medicine, and just reading articles, maybe meeting people. Some of my patients told me certain things, and I just kept my eyes and ears open that what is coming to me. Somebody's telling me something, and I should keep my eyes and ears open. And that led me to, Ayurveda, yoga, traditional Chinese medicine, reflexology, aromatherapy. We have essential oils, energy medicine. There is just a vast array of energy medicine that's out there. It's a lot of those things are out there. Herbals, supplements, how to use these things, stem cells, IVs, things that weren't part of my initial training. And they all had some effect. Somebody was using it. Somebody in some part of the world was absolutely using these things, and they were having some effect. So as a scientist that I realized that I needed to find an answer. How did turmeric work? Or how did reflexology work? How did something or other work to work on this body that I have spent more than 8 years learning? And I still did not know how things worked, right? I did not know how essential oils worked. And so when you start looking for answers, you get them, right? I mean, the universe will give you or guide you in different ways through sending signals, symbolism. Somebody else will come into your life, and they'll just tell you. And if you keep your eyes and ears open, so that's what I did. And in my first year of practice, when I was practicing outpatient practice, I was able to be referred through pretty much word of mouth through somewhere about 1,500 patients who joined us because we were looking at a person in a very holistic manner. And when we started looking at a person, and the answers just came, right? Patients started doing something, and my approach was, hey, why don't we use a trial? We'll trial something. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, we haven't lost anything. We will look at the pros and the cons. And things started happening where I felt really comfortable. Eventually, after that, I realized that there are some obstacles into conventional, traditional, employed practice. So then we started Ace Integrative Health. And we started a practice that was free of the corporate burden, whether it came from the employees or other contracts, whether they be insurance or other businesses in medicine that we deal with. And so we came out of it, and this became what we call nowadays is direct primary care. And with my understanding of integrative care and being part of American Academy of Anti-Aging and regenerative medicine and all this integrative world and the functional world, I started something called Ace Integrative Health. And that's what we are here today. And our process for the past couple of years has been really interesting. It has changed a lot. I have learned a lot. We're still being primary care doctors for a lot of our patients. But learning about the human body from all of these perspectives and more that I just mentioned earlier, these are different modalities of care. And when we incorporate some of these things, we're having our patients, we're able to get our patients to a much happier state in their life, whether helping with their healing process of the body or helping with the healing process of their mind and their mental state and their emotional state, and to some degree their cellular self, mind, body, and spirit connection. So during this whole process, after my first practice as an outpatient practice, I quit that job, or actually it was a 1-year contract. So after it ended, I decided that I was going to start this practice. I thought that this was the right way of practicing, or at least something that I wanted to start and find the right way of practice, because it is a practice, right? So it was something new, something different, and it helped me answer some puzzles that I wasn't able to earlier. I went to India, pretty much stayed there for 4 months, became a yogi, became a yoga teacher, came back, and then had this entire different understanding of the human body, where we are looking at the human body from the energetic perspective. So we started incorporating yoga and different essential oils and traditional Chinese medicine to Ayurveda and different herbs from different parts of the world. And it's been a really good experimental practice where we're able to see some really good changes in patients. So, as I was saying, I thought about a holistic approach to our patients and my patients that I was treating and wanted to solve a puzzle. And looking at all these different modalities of care led me to believe that there is a different and more better way out there to practice what I was practicing. And after learning the yoga practice in India, I started looking at patients and people as energy beings. And as energy goes into our body, it changes us. It totally changes us. We have a certain amount of energy, and energy by definition has positive and negative charges. So I started looking at pretty much all the diseases, every puzzle that we've ever had in our human body as a positive and negative, pretty straightforward. And that's the electron transfer all the way right down to the cells and the genetics that we were looking at. So as a doctor, as a scientist, I wanted to understand how, right? We always look at the mechanism of actions of drugs. We want to look at the pathophysiology, how the disease is happening. We started out at a receptor level. And within this last 2 years, 3 years, now I've gone to this understanding of genetics, the proteomics, the epigenetics. These are big words, but genetics is just what genes we were given. And I've learned that they're never steady. They always change from one day to another. Your genes are changing and we're changing. As the genes change, what we manifest change, what they're used for changes. Genes get turned on and off, and then they become proteins and different chemicals in the body. And those things will change as your genes change. But then your genes respond to the outside, which is the epigenetics, the outside environment. And the only way I can explain that in the most simplest form is if your environment becomes hot, your body will turn on the genes to produce sweat gland. But if your environment becomes cold, your body will not produce the genes to turn on the sweat because you're already cold and you don't need more sweat to cool you down. So our body literally responds to the outside environment. And we're looking at all of these levels from, many, many different perspectives. And that's the journey that we're going to be on. During this podcast, we will be talking about aromatherapy. You'll learn it. You're going to learn precision, personalized yoga, and yogic practices that you can do it at home, which involves different types of stretching, different types of breathing practices, different ways of eating. We have precision personalized nutrition. We have lifestyle coach, nutrition counseling. We're going to talk about different herbs and how they deal with us in our body and other diseases in ourselves. We're going to be talking about how crystals, meditation, 5 elements, earth, water, fire, air, space. There are other elemental theories that we have from Eastern and pretty much the world perspective that the earth is made out of. We're going to be looking at energy medicine. You might have heard of that word out there. What does that even mean? We're looking at essential oils. We'll talk about those. And we're going to talk about all of these things in a very simple, simplistic way. And our aim during this time that you'll listen to us is going to be to help you understand what is out there and how we can use that in the most precise way in a personalized fashion so that it is personalized to you. And help you get from one place of state of your body to another state of your body. Hopefully, the state that you end up with is the state that you like, because a definition of disease for me is disease is nothing more than an energy change that you don't like in your body. If you like the energy change, then you don't call that a disease. For example, when you go to the gym and you work out and your body hurts, well, that's an energy change, but you like it. Your body still hurts, but you like it. And that's not, we don't call that a disease. And if you don't like it, then you call it a disease. You can give any name you want, right? Whether you call it chronic pain syndrome or fibromyalgia or myalgia or whatever, So it's up in here and how body responds. But we also have to look at how body works from a functional perspective. And we're going to talk about what that means. And because we just talked about the integrative perspective, we're integrating different modalities of care. But in the functional perspective is how can we use the most advanced technologies that we have in today's world and use that to understand our body? Meaning there are functional labs that we can do to find out heavy metals, parasites, bugs, viruses, bacteria, funguses, environmental toxins such as those things that we spray on the grass, and other environmental toxins that are, sprayed in the paint, or they're exuding, off-gassing from the polish that's on our cabinets, the perfumes and colognes and lotions and detergents and all kind of stuff that we use in our life. A lot of these things have different types of chemicals. So we're going to talk about those toxins so we can look at them in our body, find that out through urine and blood and saliva and those kind of testing. We can look at genetics. So I'm also a chief medical advisor for a genetic company, and we do a lot of gene testing, and we work with genes and analyze your body to figure out how you're digesting proteins, fats, carbs, how your body is using them up to make you look good, feel good, and behave good. So that comes down to the understanding of genes. And as some of those genes can change, we need to understand how do we get what we want. Whether we want to sweat, then we'll turn that on. If we don't want to sweat, then we'll turn the genes off. But we need to know how we do that. And in the simplest form, you do that by turning on and off the air conditioning. If it gets too hot, you'll produce it because that's what you wanted. So if you wanted sweat, then you turn off air conditioning, it heats you up, and then you produce sweat. It's the same thing for every other thing in life. There are hundreds of thousands of genes that are out there. Each one of them responds to some type of change in the outside environment. If you need to run and you're scared, your stress hormone goes up, and that goes up because you're scared. Something in the outside environment stimulated your response, put you into sympathetic mode. That brain signaled your adrenals to produce epinephrine. Your nervous system started producing norepinephrine, and now you're producing these things, but they were also produced by the genes at the mitochondrial and at the DNA level. So literally your genes responded to you being scared. And then epinephrine, norepi, thyroid, cortisol, adrenals, all of these things are produced. So we have to follow that literal pathway one step to another, and that leads to emotions. So we'll help you understand those kind of things as well. And this is all in the world of functional testing, hormone testing, micronutrient testing, understanding what we have in our bloodstream, what we have in our muscles, looking at antibody testing. And we're going to blend in this whole world of anti-aging with this whole world of holistic integrative care. And we're going to merge that together, in which we look at genetics, proteomics, and epigenetics. We look at genes, we look at proteins, and we look at what's the environment. And this environment business is what we're talking about. What can I do? Can I do crystals, essential oils, yoga, eating? What type of food is the right type of food for me, right? Is it food sensitivity, stool testing? We look at all of these things to figure out how we can operate that much better. And that's what we're going to look at. And, we want you to be on this journey with us together, bringing in as many people as you want. If you have any questions, you're welcome to text us, call us, email us, reach out to us, leave a comment. We'll try to read them and, address those questions in our podcast as well. We have this whole protocol about we're going to do this podcast. You want to learn a little bit more about all of these topics, then we have a course that you can log in, sign up, learn how to about everything that we're doing, right? We'll talk about it. We'll show you how to at home by talking about it. But if you really need help and wants to have access to PDFs, wants to have access to a lot more question answer session. So it's a course, right? You'll have a lot more things presented to you. We'll literally show you in videos how we're doing something. So you can actually physically see it, how it's done, rather than just us talking about it. And if you're interested in that, that's great. Sign up, bring on a friend or two, share, and reach out to us. We'll be glad to help you out. Now, one of the things that we do at this practice, and which is something that we would like you to join, is that on a weekly session, once a week, we sit down together and we pray. We send out our positive vibes. We look at every single one of our patients and we think about them and we send positive vibes to them for their success. And that is something that has helped a lot of people in our practice. This is something that we recently started doing. I had been doing it for a while, but the power of group meditation or power of group prayers or power of group doing anything is a lot more than an individual person doing it. And that is what I ask all of you guys, that if you want, as we do it, we will eventually start to tell you when we're doing it, and maybe we might even do it live, and you may join us. And this is to bring in that positive energy for those people who are really suffering. And in return, when you send out positive energy, it comes right back to you as a boomerang does. And that's exactly what our thoughts are. And you'll feel better. You'll feel healthy. And we're going to help ourselves understand how this energy flows in our own bodies. So with that said, let's save this podcast on your phone so that you can come back to this easier. We will publish these podcasts on a weekly basis, and it may happen more than that, but for now we'll upload it on a weekly basis and you'll get to listen to it, on your drive from anywhere you're driving. And if you really want to learn more, just reach out to us or subscribe to the course. And this course is access to us. It's unlimited access to pretty much us in terms of teaching you about everything. There are lots and lots and lots of videos on there where you'll be able to go through a process, because its course is like, if you've gone to school, which most of you have, you've understood that there's a process in the class. When you enter a classroom, the first chapter is very different than the last chapter. And that's how I want you to think about this course. The first chapter, first class, is going to be very different than the last. First class is going to take you through your own healing process and your own healing journey, and it'll help you understand in a very systematic way to the last class. So whether it's for yoga, whether it's for any of these other modalities of care that we were talking about, you are going to go from one stage to another so that by the end of the class and by end of the course for any one of these things, you have a really good understanding on how to start doing it yourself, because we will give you all the ebooks, all the paperwork that allows you to really have a accountability tracker and a how-to right in there. So that's our goal. And thank you so much for listening to us. And thank you for joining Ace Your Health podcast series. This is